let's get to Rob straight away, because there's so much news and so much thoughts being talked here about the conference, not only about how to reform, of course, regulation, how to better understand the financial markets, but also in general how to deal with Greece. This is a big topic that everyone wants to hear about. So let's get straight to Rob Johnson. Rob, thank you so much for joining us here on Bloomberg. There's so much talk about Greece, about what to do with Greece, about whether we need to involve the IMF, about whether the IMF will get involved in the next couple of days. Now we have the head of the IMF coming here, very, very exciting. Do you think that this will decredibilize the European Union if the IMF were to step in?
Well, I think the European Union does have tensions, and I think they've got to resolve the tensions. What method they choose, whether the IMF or whether a German-led bailout, is really up in the air at this point. But the IMF can play a role, but it's not necessarily a role I think in particular the French government wants to see them play at this time.
How is this seen through US eyes? It does seem that the European Union is slow, can't really get its act together, and essentially the markets just aren't confident that Greece won't default.
I think they are slow to get their act together, but it's quite predictable. In the United States, we have a very large landmass in one currency, just like Europe. But what we also have are a fiscal authority that can make transfers, take the sting out of things when they're down in California or when they're down in Texas, whereas in Europe, everybody's sort of left to their own devices. Greece doesn't have much capacity to be left to its own device. It's got a very angry population. Their debt is a problem, so they're quite constrained. So you need a United States of Europe, or you need to go back to smaller currency areas. It's one or the other, and this is what you might call the first test match.
Rob, we caught up with a lot of the participants here, including George Soros, and we talked about Greece and about China. What is the main topic that's worrying your participants here?
I think the main topic that's worrying them is financial regulation. Questions of the instability of expectations, the emotional violence that goes on in markets, and whether our, what you might call playbook or rule book for diagnosing and running these markets is up to the task. Particularly, it's a global task now, not a national task.
And actually, the IMF head, Mr. Dominique Strauss-Kahn, said himself that he's concerned that we're losing the political will to have reforms, to have regulation, because we're in a recovery phase. Yes. Do you feel this?
Well, the recovery is like an anesthetic. And when people are feeling comfortable, whether it's because of health or because of anesthetic, they're reluctant to make difficult changes. So I think we're going to be struggling to get real reform done.
Rob, do you think the recovery is sustainable, though, and it's going to grow? I mean, we're also hearing noises about possible double-dip recessions if, for example, exit plans are put in place too soon.
I see no catalyst right on the immediate horizon for a double-dip recession, but I think there's an awful lot of losses still buried in those bank balance sheets that haven't been brought out, and credit constriction from impaired banks will be with us for quite some time to come.
Very interesting point. Rob, thank you so much for joining us.